It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship from Barber Motorsports Park. It's our final round of 2021. It's MotoAmerica Superbikes at Alabama. One of the most scenic places that we have on the calendar, Barber Motorsports Park, for race number 1 of our final race weekend of the season. I'm Craig White, sitting alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore as we are setting the stage for Supersport. And Jason, so far this weekend, it's been a mixed bag of sunshine and rain and clouds and everything the South has to offer.
Absolutely. Friday was supposed to rain and didn't really rain at all. And today, Saturday, race day, it has come down pretty hard this morning. This guy doesn't care. He wrapped up the championship last weekend, did Sean Dillon Kelly, Greg, and he's come out this weekend fast as usual. The pressure is off, but it'll be interesting to see how these conditions play out.
And the big news for our 2021 Supersport champ is, press release came out today, he's going to team up with Cameron Beaubier in the MotoGP Moto2 World Championship. And Jason, a big reason for that is the season he had this year.
Incredible year, put a ton of race wins together, worked super well with his team. Big credit to M4 X-Star Suzuki for giving this guy the platform to go on to do big things next year, hopefully in Moto2 alongside Cameron Beaubier. Congrats to Sean Dillon Kelly.
And Jay, looking at Suzuki inside the numbers, you can see that June 25th, he went into the race weekend at the Ridge with an 11-point lead, but over the next 6 races, he all of a sudden got 50 points, and that was really what defined this championship for him.
Yeah, the big one I'll remember, unfortunately, is Escalante crashing out of race 2 at Brainerd, and that really opened up that points gap and just continued to let this guy build his lead until he finally finished it off in Jersey.
And with that press release I talked about, it is a big day for Sean Dillon Kelly and his announcement of his future. So Jamie Howe had a chance to catch up with SDK about Moto2.
Sean Dillon Kelly has been the Supersport champion for 5 days now. Big news coming this morning. You're going to Moto2. What was the thought process in making that decision?
Yeah, it's first of all, it's not only a dream opportunity, a dream come true, but it's also been a dream week. You know, I won my first national championship, only 5 days ago, and right now I just got announced, made it official that I'll be going to Moto2 with the American racing team. So it's a lot going on. I'm still at a race weekend right now. I'm honestly trying to stay focused, stay here. I'm still trying to finish off on a good note with the team. But
one thing you can still do this weekend is earn the distinction of having the most championship points for a season. If you earn 24 points, you'd pass JD Beach. What would that mean to you?
I actually didn't know that. That's special. That's something that I've always put myself up to. Like not only winning the championship was obviously a huge goal for me, but also trying to get the most out of myself and honestly break as many records as I can.
One rider that's going to try and put a stop to that is his teammate Sam Lockoff, and he is with Hannah Lopa.
Jamie, just a few short days ago, we saw Sam Lockoff capture his career first victory in the Supersport class. Sam, how confident are you that you can replicate those results here this weekend?
I think it'll all depend on the first session, honestly. I've only been here on a 300, but I'm feeling very confident. I had the pace last weekend. I had a lot of pace actually last weekend, and this track, I've always liked this track. This track's pretty smooth, and always getting a good flow. So I think if we get off to a good start, it will be a good battle again.
Now the forecast for the weekend is looking kind of questionable. If there is some inclement weather, how does that change things for you, if at all?
It doesn't really change too much. The first priority is still third in the championship. I'm only 24 points ahead of Rocco, so I'm not going to go out and win the race if I know I have to hold the championship down. But yeah, the main goal is third, and then if I'm there for the battle for the lead, I'll definitely make some moves and make it interesting again.
Well, whatever the conditions are, he's definitely made a step in his riding. And Jason, this is Barber Motorsports Park. It's not the longest one, but it is up and down.
It certainly is. Turn 1 here, Greg, you can't see the tip-in point. You see the tip-in point, but you can't see the apex. Up to turn 2, a lot of elevation. Turn 4 is going to be wide open on these 600s. Bike gets extremely light into the famous Charlotte's Web. Turn 5, a lot of passing as we've seen over the years there. Turn 8's pretty tricky, Greg, up over that curbing into the museum corner, little back straightaway, and then you kind of get over towards turn 14, 15, and 16, all one big, long, sweeping right-hander. A lot of different ways to take it as you set up for turn 17 and that drive onto the front straightaway.
It is a lot of fun and repaved just a couple years ago. One of the best we have on the calendar. This guy wants to end the season with a couple wins. Can he get it done? We're here to find out.
Yeah, Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden here with you at Barber Motorsports Park, and they did that piece just a moment ago.
Right before this race, how it was drying out. We're talking about maybe some guys would run the DOTs or the slicks, but looks like now everybody's going to be on the full rain tires. It's coming down pretty good now, so won't be anybody taking any risk before this race with the tire gamble.
So you see the rain down coming really hard, and that's from that first turn looking back down that straightaway. There's a certain section of this course, and for the fans here and those who haven't been watching online, there's certain areas of this course that have been slipperier than others. That final exit or that final left-hand turn on that outside, we've also seen the museum turn, another one to look for. I looked at you and I said, how many guys do you think are going to go down in this race? And there could be a few, because especially with it being the last race of the year, they can throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, being the last race of the year, why not just go for it? In the rain, this is your opportunity maybe to get the best finish. So I just lay it all on the line, take a couple chances. We've seen a couple corners that were slick all day. The museum corner down into turn 9, the chicane, and then also the last corner. So I would still probably be a little cautious through there. But if I was one of the guys that's a little further back on the grid, I would just go for it today.
Sean Dillon Kelly, as they pointed out, trying to be the highest points finisher on the Supersport bike in MotoAmerica history. He has 365 now. He has 11 wins, 15 podiums. There's only been 4 different winners: Sean Dillon Kelly, Escalante, Mesa, and then the newest winner in Sam Lockoff. Will we have a 5th winner today? Do you feel anything? Are your spider senses tingling? Will we have that one guy that jumps up in the rain race and shows you he knows how to ride the wet?
Well, we don't know yet, but we've seen a guy that was really fast this morning. Gabriel Da Silva in the rain practice this morning was really fast, so that could be a guy that might get his first win.
Guys throwing it down earlier in their qualifier. Rocco Landers, we saw Ben Smith, we saw Thermiotis. All of these were top 10 guys that had to get that bike ready to go here for the Supersport race. It's their first of 2 races this weekend. There's no doubt it is wet. They've all got Dunlop rain tires on, and this will be a 16-lap adventure. So your thoughts? Sean Dillon Kelly wants a win, but does he push hard right off the bat, or does he kind of feel it out for a little bit and then see what he's got once he gets going?
I think he's going to go for it right away, try to pull away, especially in the rain. It's a lot easier to see when you're in the front. If you're in the back with a field like this, the spray makes it hard to see. I already talked about Gabriel Da Silva. Also, Xavier Zayat, another guy that was fast this morning, might kind of lay it all on the line to get his best result today.
Michael Hill's watching us across the pond. He's sending text messages with his well wishes, and he's not having to deal with the rain that we're dealing with here. Rocco Landers, want to point him out. He's not been known for his starts, but he's on that front row. Rocco, it's time to hammer down, get that first win in Supersport, at least get that whole shot heading into turn 1.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
I think it's cool that he's probably going to break it. I mean, records are made to be broke, and if it's somebody that's gonna do it, it's cool that it's him, and he's done great this year, and he's rode really well. So honestly, I didn't even know I had the record, but it's cool that I've had it for, I guess, 4 years now, and it's cool that I'm gonna be here to see it get broke.
That, of course, was J.D. Beach talking about Sean Dillon Kelly's possibility of breaking the all-time points record. But, Jay, here's the starting grid. Sean Dillon Kelly on pole.
Yep, then we have Escalante and Landers. Mesa, Almeida, and Lockoff will be rounding out row number 2. A little bit further back, Benjamin Smith, Thermiotis, Zayat. Good to see Xavier back. Da Silva, Nassani, and Doyle going to be round 4 there, or row 4. Liam Grant, Salazar, Nate Minster, Laroche, Soltis, and Miller. Nolan is actually a scratch. Faulkner, Blackall, Ivy, Zaragoza, and Bruno Silva. And then we have Schweiger and August Nord, Silva, McKnight, and Pettenud.
29 riders qualified for this. Obviously, we're talking about Nolan Lampkin, who's unable to make the start of this race. So the rain has been coming and going all day long. Kind of earlier on in the day, around 10 o'clock, it was absolutely pouring and water streaming across the track, and it's been drying out until just a few moments ago where another passing shower came through. So everybody's on full rain tires.
Yeah, 20 minutes ago when that last race finished, we had a race finish, and there was a distinct dry line. So now it's got that kind of first rain on that dry line again, because it had gotten pretty wide, Greg, that dry line had. So there's going to be some guys here probably never raced in the rain, ridden in the rain. It'll be interesting to see the experience levels and who's willing to hang it out a little bit.
Here we go. MotoAmerica Supersport race number 1. And looks like a good start from Sean Dillon Kelly on an M4 X-Star Suzuki.
And a great start from Rocco Landers, which we haven't really seen this year. So he's up to third right off the bat, but his launch was really good. It looked like he was trying to go by Escalante early. So the guy that's just signed on to race Moto 2 next year, Sean Dillon Kelly, our champion from this year, gets the early jump on the field. They're going to probably have to feel things out a little bit, Greg. It's been a few hours since they've been out there. Escalante and Landers look racy early as they head down to Charlotte's Web for the first time. And how about down the inside of all of them? It looks like Thermiotis is down there as well. He's going to take over third as he goes by Landers.
And this is what the rain can do. It's called the Great Equalizer. Anybody who's got a good setup and a good feel for the motorcycle can get a great result.
And Thermiotis was quick this morning, Greg, in our warm-up session. You could see him getting in there right behind these two guys now. He did have a small tip-off, so they were able to get that bike obviously back together. And you're exactly right. This is what happens in these kind of conditions. You see kind of wild card guys that maybe otherwise wouldn't be at the front, that they look at it like this is their big chance to do something. And we're looking to see who's just behind Rocco there. It looks like Mesa, and I'm trying to figure out who that is. It's just slid their way into 5th.
So Venezuela's Alex Thermiotis. Thermiotis racing on the Yamaha R6 is that number 78 in 3rd spot. The front runners, typical, Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante. Of course, Jason, Richie Escalante is the fastest Supersport rider around here in the dry. He has the track record for race. Last year he got it at a 1:26.651. Talking about the number 1 plate, of course, in these conditions, Jay. We'll see what kind of times they're able to produce with the rain still falling.
Yeah, and this is where Thermiotis can just kind of go to school and look at what these two guys are doing in front of him and learn as much as he possibly can, as it looks like we could have weather for both days here in Alabama. So if he can just kind of learn as much as he can and do as many laps with these guys and then take a shot at him, I think that he has an opportunity to do that. So right now, these three have kind of broke away a little bit. That's Xavier Zayat, who I made mention of before, that has jumped up into 4th. Landers came across the line in 5th.
All right, Jason.
Oh, and it looked like Greg, it looked like it could have been Rocco that just slid off on the exit of turn 3, just out of our screen there. And now look at Thermiotis as he goes down the Escalante.
Pass for the lead. So Richie Escalante, late on the brakes with these Dunlop rain tires, will take over the lead from Sean Dillon Kelly. Thermiotis credited with the fastest lap of the race so far. And there is Landers, left part of your screen. So you're right, Jason. It was Rocco Landers who fell down.
I saw that flash of blue and yellow, Greg, and we've seen some riders this morning go off on that exit of turn 3 where it gets really downhill, goes away from you a little bit there, and a little bit too much throttle gets the rear of the bike a little bit loose. Now, Escalante has gone to the front here. And these are just difficult conditions right now, and you can see Xavier Zayat is closing in on this lead trio. So in a few minutes here, a few seconds here, we're gonna have 4, and you can see there's Rocco getting up. So we already saw him walk off, and it looks like he's hurt his shoulder possibly.
Yeah.
Usually when it's like that, it could be a separated shoulder or maybe a collarbone. Back at the front now, SDK has gone back through on Escalante. Escalante earlier took a look down the inside all the way around this big long right. He's not gonna be close enough here. And I also did not see Zayat, Greg. I did not see him in that last shot. Did you?
No, he's fading down the order. Xavier Zayat, you can see left part of your screen.
There he is.
There he is. So Zayat was on a charge. And unfortunately for Xavier Zayat, he is going to be out of this race. So back up front we go, Jason. It's Sean Dillon Kelly who takes over the lead.
In the background, another big crash coming onto the front straightaway. That's going to be one of the Altus bikes. It looks like it's either Almedo or Nassani. Let's have a look. It's Kevin Almedo. So that was a big accident, Greg. It's such a fine line right now on these tires. The problem is that when you have a track that if you have a track with good grip, you kind of push harder and then it catches you out quick. If you have a track with not so good grip, it can catch you out quicker, obviously. But you can see Almedo is up. He's okay. So right now, everybody's just testing these conditions, but the problem is it catches you out so quickly sometimes.
So Kevin Olmedo sliding into home plate.
And obviously, we know he's been battling a shoulder injury all year long, and good to see him up and walking and not really holding on to shoulders or anything too much right now.
So Sean Dillon Kelly came across the line, set the fastest lap of the race so far, 147.384. And the times, those lap times, are all going to be dependent on how much rain is falling. And Jason, this isn't the largest racetrack, as I mentioned before, but this is the Southeast. And what you can see is sometimes there's rain falling on part of the track on one end and not on the other end.
Yeah,
it can get a little bit tricky.
I'm looking at the left of our commentary position here, and it's kind of bright and sunny and almost blue sky. And out to the right, it's dark and gray, and that's kind of over where these guys are at now. You can see they broke away from Thermiotis, and SDK just looks like he's getting a little bit more comfortable. This is what happens the more laps you run. You just start getting a little bit more comfortable with things. That's going to be bike number 17 is down. But yeah, SDK right now is just getting more and more comfortable. Jamie?
And Sean Dillon Kelly this morning, he said the bike felt pretty good in the rain. He just needed a little bit more rear feel. He wasn't feeling as connected to it as he wanted to. They made a couple improvements. He's already gone quicker in the race than he did during the practice session this morning. But take a look at his helmet. There are a couple of shots where you zoom in and you can see that pink visor. Not everybody has access. That's a specialty visor from Arai. He's an Arai helmet rider. And what that does, it's kind of the same idea as the polarized sunglasses that you wear on a bright and sunny day. It gives you a little more depth perception when the sun's in your eyes. This pink visor, it gives him a little more depth perception out on the racetrack, so he can have a better idea of where the pedals are, and he can ride with a better view in front of him.
Yeah, and you know, what you used to see if you've been around motorcycle road racing for a long time was a yellow shield, like you would have yellow glasses,
That's exactly
Jay.
right, yep.
But in the FIM World Endurance Series, they realized that when the red light would come on, if there was a red flag or red light, that people with the yellow visors weren't seeing red. And so Arai and the rest of the manufacturers had to change to this kind of rose tint. And yeah, it really does accentuate in low light conditions like this, and it can be very critical for a rider. Now, Jay, to be honest, Sean Dillon Kelly's in the best position he can possibly be in terms of he's got no roost. He's got none of that spray coming off the back of his bike. And so it's a good spot for him to be in. And sometimes in these conditions, we'll see riders like Richie Escalante fade back a little bit just so he can see and get a clear view.
Yeah, in one area he's got an advantage, and another one he's got a disadvantage because he's actually pushing the pace. He's actually setting the mark for everybody else to come chase after him. And while that looks like it puts some pressure on Escalante, it's a lot of pressure leading these races because you're constantly testing what grip can do.
Well, Jason, I talked to Richie Escalante this morning, and he said, you know, he has pretty good grip in the wet. He wasn't pushing too hard during that practice session. He ended up P13 in that session, but he said overall for this race, he's feeling confident on these Dunlop slicks, or the Dunlop rain tires, excuse me. Even though he's never ridden in the rain on this bike, he thinks the team's got a really good setup for him. He wanted to make it through qualifying safely, and now that he knows what to expect, he thinks he can definitely push for a top 5, and he's well on his way to that in P2 right now.
Yeah, so with every lap too, Jason, he's just gaining confidence, is the #1 plate in his wet weather setup and those tires. Now, one of the things that's interesting is we talked about Sean Dillon Kelly going to Moto 2 next year. When I spoke with him this morning about the possibility of racing in the rain, what we're seeing right now, he was excited because he knows when he goes to Europe that there's going to be a lot more opportunities to race in the rain. And so any laps he can turn in these conditions, he feels is a benefit, not only obviously for learning this weekend, but for his future.
See who this is, G-Dub. I'm just trying to get a number. Is it Zaragoza possibly?
Yeah, at 27.
Is it? Yep.
Yeah, it looks like Zaragoza, EZ.
Turn 3 also. So
Zaragoza out of 11th place. Back up to the front we go. Now this race was scheduled for 19 laps. It's been reduced to 16 because of the conditions. And Sean Dillon Kelly having a great run at it right now, Jason. By the way, SDK, a pole position in every single event this year.
That's crazy.
First time it's been done.
When you said that to me this morning, you said, hey, do you realize he's got every pole position? Look at Escalante having a look. He's keeps on trying that little move, but when you get so stuck in on these races, you don't even think about it. But to get every single pole position this year, again,
that's
just
amazing,
shows how good he has stepped up.
And that's actually information I got from
Did you see
Jamie.
That? It almost looked like Escalante had to get out of the gas, like SDK maybe he had a moment in that last corner. Just judging off of what I saw from Escalante, kind of up out of the seat for a second. So we weren't on SDK there, but coming out of that last corner, Escalante definitely did roll a throttle off.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment Richie Escalante has pace over Sean Dillon Kelly. The race continues. Jason, on this side, after being a professional commentator, you're a riding coach as well. You've been doing it a long time. Take us for a lesson on how you ride in the rain as Escalante is now going to take over the position. What do you do differently, Jason, from dry to rain conditions, if at all?
All of your movements become a little bit softer on the bike as far as how you go for the throttle, how you go for the brake. Getting your body set early for the corners is important because you want to get into a position on the bike where once you get on top of the corner, you're not making a lot of adjustments and distributing a bunch of weight differently.
There it is!
Escalante down.
Crashes out of the lead, a little too much throttle. The rear end comes around, and a low-speed high side for Richie Escalante.
And that's how quick it happens. It literally just happens that quickly, where everything feels good. And we've been saying he looks strong, but then the bike will just snap around on you. Now let's see how much he's lost. I saw Alex Thormiotis go through. We got a red flag situation, Greg. Red flag on the track.
So red flag situation, which means that all racing stops. Riders will put their hands in the air, signal to riders behind them that racing conditions are over. So out comes the red flag. Riders are going to funnel back to pit lane. So Sean Dillon Kelly had just taken over the lead with the exit of Richie Escalante. We'll see what the red flag is for, but Jason, this plays in Escalante's favor, especially if the bike's still rideable. The team's probably going to get some parts. Now, teams can do anything they want to the motorcycle except change tires. Yeah. But in this particular situation, under wet weather conditions, that actually goes out the window as well.
He just literally tips it in. You'll see the rear of the bike just snap around. Now you know you're in trouble because the bike's going to snap back on you. He's going to go up over high side in it there, but it kind of lands on the bike awkwardly, but it's kind of a soft landing for him, thank goodness.
His head never hit the ground either. The Czechoslovakian judge gave that a 9.6 on the dismount.
Yeah, and you're right. He never did hit his head, which is good. So he's going to run over and pick that bike up. Looked like he probably is missing a foot peg just by how he was coming down pit lane. Makes me wonder, Greg, if we had another incident somewhere else on the track, because Escalante was obviously getting up pretty quickly from that. So, yeah, it looks like he doesn't have a foot peg.
So riders will come in. Crews will take a look at the motorcycles and see for Richie Escalante and his Honos Hudson Valley Motorcycle Racing Team. They need to take a look. Yeah, you can hear Richie Alexander say, you need to go get a foot peg.
Yep, he's going to go get one right now.
So he's going to run off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's somebody with a souvenir.
That's his foot peg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bit of a yard sale in Supersport race number 1.
Actually, a lot of these guys did a pretty good job. We saw a few slide-offs, definitely, but pretty treacherous conditions. It looks like it's, you know, it's going to be around for a while, this rain, but Escalante gets a pretty big break here. He'll be able to get back out and continue.
All right, so under red flag conditions here, race has stopped. We'll take a break. We'll step away. When we come back, we're going to get this red flag sorted out and let you know what the plan is moving forward. So don't go anywhere. It's MotoAmerica Supersport.
Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden here with you as we take over all the crew next door, sort things out. You see Rocco Landers working his way over to the ambulance. Looks like he is having some issues with that shoulder, as Jason Pridmore had pointed out. So now that we have that red flag, I don't know what it is with red flags here at Barber. We had it happen in the Supersport class a couple years ago. That was actually going to be when Richie's first ever win, I think, and had it taken away from him when the same turn even, going towards a museum turn. Bobby Fong had an incident, but evidently we're told that it's the parts that were out on the course that was what brought out, because we knew that Richie hopped up and popped back, but with all the parts or whatever strewn across the course, I didn't think they felt it was safe. We do know it is pouring rain, but they've been dealing with that, and the more they run on it, it was actually looked like it was throwing it off. Roger, bad for Richie Escalante that it happened, but then now that it did, they can go back and do the start however they see fit, and he has a chance still.
Yeah, if they don't say that he was the one that caused the red flag, they get that bike fixed, he'll get his original grid spot. So that would be, hopefully that's the case, because, you know, we want to see him and Sean Dillon Kelly go at it.
Okay, we've been told that the red flag was to get medical to Rocco.
I was thinking that actually when I seen the medical there, the way Rocco was walking over, he was in a spot where medical can't get there unless they use the racetrack. So I was starting to wonder that, because he looked like he was in a lot of pain when he got up.
I got that, and like you talked about, as far as that rider causing, we've seen it before, and even with like the Bobby Fong incident, when something was out on the course like that, those are oftentimes it's not the rider, because we saw Richie getting the bike up and ready to go, but Rocco's bike not looking so good.
So with Rocco being the one to get medical there, needing the red flag, that way now Richie Escalante, he'll be able to take his original grid spot.
Yeah, and we're so deep into this, I'm curious to see how they reline them up to the way that they come across the stripe. It won't be a complete start from the beginning.
The running order of the previous lap.
Yeah, they'll go back one lap.
Completed lap, fully completed lap.
That's right. If it was early in the program, we've seen those complete starts from the get-go, from the very beginning, and you see them looking through the gloves there, and I saw Richie stretching out his hands. They're going to try and get him a new set of Alpine Star gloves, and that's why, there's some Alpine Star stuff for the left, but that's why you wear the protection for these moments. You never want to get in a wreck, but when you do, you need to have the best stuff there.
Yeah, you need to have the best stuff, and looks like Richie's got some of the best stuff there is, Alpine Star gloves, and they have a guy representative here at the track, and he's down there helping him out, checking it out.
Sean Nicole knows where he's going to be. He's going to be out in the front of that M4X Star Suzuki, and he looked pretty comfortable. Get ready, Sean. You've still got a lot more racing still ahead. They're getting ready to finish up this Supersport class. We send it to the guys next door.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park here in Birmingham, Alabama, under red flag conditions for Supersport race number 1. And we can see that they are cleaning up some incidents around the racetrack, as these rain conditions often do this. Let's get down to Hannah Lopa, who's working pit lane. Hi, Hannah.
Well, I'm here with Richie Escalante. Richie, you overtook the lead. Unfortunately, there was a red flag situation, but it wasn't caused by your crash. You now have the opportunity to rejoin the race. How does this change anything for you, if at all?
Yeah, for sure. I don't feel so great this morning in the qualifying too, so today I'm start very good, and I'm behind Sean, so I'm riding very well behind, and then I try to push a little bit more. Yeah, I have a big mistake. I jumped the curb too fast and lose the rear grip, especially the way in the back. But I'm okay, so I'm very lucky for the red flag, so I hope the rider crash is okay, and yeah, I'm ready to continue to working and try to win the race. So.
It seemed like you were having maybe some trouble with your hand. How are you feeling overall physically?
I don't know. I have too much pain on my right hand, but I feel it power to brake. So we'll see later. The most important is the bike fix it and ready for another battle with Sean.
Glad you're up and okay and able to rejoin this race. We'll see you out there. Best of luck, Richie. Thank you.
One of the problems with these kind of crashes, and you've seen it with a lot of the riders this weekend, is that it catches you so off guard that you just start slapping your hands on the ground. We've seen a few of the guys get that happen, and so it's when you don't know what's coming, Greg, and you really when you're pushing hard in the dry and you lose the front, it's one thing, but when you just all of a sudden are in the air, it happens so quickly. It's when you can slap your arms, your wrists, hands down on the ground like that.
Jamie down on a wet pit lane as well. What's going on, Jamie?
Well, Sean Dillon credited with the race lead at this point in time. Sean, what were the track conditions like? We see a lot of incidents.
Yeah, it's pretty wet out there, obviously. Honestly, the conditions are not too bad. The actual asphalt's really good, and it's pretty abrasive. But as you can tell, I already had a moment right before Rich's crash, and Rich's crash was on the entry. So we can't be very abrupt. We have to be very, very smooth, and nothing. It feels pretty good to be able to have some time in the rain. Obviously, it changes things up a lot, but just trying to be smooth, be smart, and it was pretty fun. Already fighting with Richie on the first few laps in the rain. We're always fighting for the win in any condition. So looking forward to getting back out there, and hopefully Richie is good, and so is his bike.
The rain has always been called an equalizer when it comes to racing. The mental aspect, though, we know it's going to be a 6-lap race to the checkered flag. How physical and mental is this?
Yeah, more like you said, it's very mental. we can't get away with so much like we can sometimes get away with in the dry. Any little input that's just a bit too abrupt can take us to the ground in a split second. So have to be very smooth, have to be very concentrated. The moment that you start, going elsewhere, you can end up in a bad situation. So very mental, have to be very, very smart, very focused, but that's what we're here for.
All right, and I hear everybody talking. It seems like we might get started pretty soon here, Greg.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and what we're hearing is a 6-lap restart, and it's going to be regridded based off of how they finished after lap number 5. So MotoAmerica is working on that, getting that thing set, as every minute is precious for this Honos Hudson Valley Motorcycles racing team. So for them, they're like, hey, race control, print the grid a little slower while we get everything handled and everything changed up. But nonetheless, we're going to regrid this thing, and we're going to have 6 laps, Jason. And normally in the dry, if it was 6 laps, it would be an absolutely aggro race. But here in the rain, like Sean Dillon Kelly was saying, man, it's all about being smooth.
Got to be smooth, and you heard him say he had a couple little incidents as well, and you're just riding on that fine edge all the time. But there'll be some guys that'll look at this and think, okay, now's my chance again to maybe, I've had some laps under my belt. Maybe I could take a couple of chances. That podium is right there within reach. I'm really impressed with Alex Thermiotis, though. Southern Cal guy, we've seen him out. We've seen him racing out in the desert at Chuckwalla as well, quite a bit down there with Poncho, who's been in the paddock for a long time. Give this kid a lot of credit. He was running third, and a solid third at that. He was 7 seconds behind your leaders. He was some 6 seconds up on 4th place. So for a guy like that, you feel a little bit bummed for him because he looked like he had things under control. But we'll see if Thermiotis can continue doing what he's doing.
We appreciate you hanging around under red flag conditions. Jason, come on, I had to do that.
Oh, Mike, that's you're stretching there, but that's a good one. Yes.
All right, thanks.
That's a good one.
So MotoAmerica.
It's fun looking around this place, though, and seeing the different things that are just peeking out at you in places around.
It's
in the
all
woods,
over
in
the
water,
place.
everywhere.
All over the place, and there are things that show up that weren't here, and that's the perfect example. So that is brand new for. I mean, I was asking you, Jason, earlier. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that the bison, if you're from the North Dakota area. That's been here for years.
Yeah, hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. What a great view of most of the track for that particular animal hanging off of the tower, the scoring tower. So 6 laps scheduled on the restart. And it's interesting, Jason, to talk about the grip level here because what we know is that here at Barber Motorsports Park, they spent an awful lot of money. They spent an awful lot of time planning the repave. They dug really deep in certain sections here to make sure that the water drainage and everything was great, and the new surface, and so it's creating a lot of grip, and this is a good time for us to challenge the grip level here in these Dunlop tires. Let's get right down to Jamie.
Stefano Mesa did not go out in the practice session this morning. Can't afford to risk a bike in these conditions, but out there for the race. Up in the 5th position. What have you learned over these first couple of laps?
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. It's obviously pretty slippery out there, and we're just turning some laps at this point. I had the big bike race before this, so that helped me a little bit to situate myself, but it was a little bit drier. But track is the same for all of us, and we're just out there. I think we're all just riding around trying to finish.
Put in perspective the Dunlop rain tire. How different does the bike perform on the rain versus the slick?
Oh, it's definitely different. I mean, we still have a lot of grip, but I think the pavement they laid here is not that great in the rain, or maybe it's just too new. So I think it's just a matter of getting the bike working well and just getting around with.
Well, it sounds like we're having a little bit of issues there, Jason. But
that's what the weather does sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Alex Thermiotis having a great run at it, Hannah, in 3rd place.
He is, and you can see him sitting there on the wall. I tried to go up to him for an interview, but he is very much in the zone. He is very focused on the task at hand. It's obvious that this is very important to him, and he's taking it very seriously, and he doesn't want to leave anything to chance or any distractions right now. He's in a really good position to keep this momentum going, so hopefully we see him on his first podium later this afternoon. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, really, Jason. I mean, this is one of the riders that was definitely not wanting to see a red flag. You know, when you get a good start and you get into a good groove and you have the 2 riders in front of you setting the pace. So for Alex Thermiotis, it's really about getting a race start. You can see that he's started to roll out onto pit lane. And
he did a really good job at the beginning, just kind of getting on the back of those 2 guys in front of him. He got by Rocco early, got on the back of Sean Dillon Kelly and Escalante there, pulled himself away from everybody, and then he was probably just managing his pit board a little bit and just kind of seeing how things were. He pulled out a nice big long gap on those guys. So it's really going to be now when you look back to some of the guys that were behind him. Gabriel Da Silva, another guy that's up there in fourth. Mesa, who's going to, Mesa's obviously very cagey. You heard him in his interview there. Lockoff, 6. Sam doing another really nice job of getting that experience that is needed from a young rider. We saw him winning at Jersey. But here he is in 6, and he's just kind of learning with each lap. Then a couple other guys, CJ Laroche, Liam Grant, Dominic Doyle, and Petnude. I mean, Nick Petnude's come from a long, long way back, Greg. If we look on our grid, he has come from a long way back, and he's 10th. So doing a nice job as well. Greg, he started 29th and worked himself all the way up to 10th.
The rain is a great equalizer. We cannot say it enough.
Tremendous job from Nick there. And we'll see. I mean, Greg, look, if he's come from that far back, now we've got a 6-lap restart. He's going to be up there on that 4th row looking at guys ahead of him thinking, okay, I've never quite maybe been here before, and I wasn't planning on being here today, but here I am. And he's obviously got some confidence riding in these conditions. So keep an eye on number 46.
The Barber Motorsports Vintage Museum, a stop for anyone who's a motorsports enthusiast. If you're a motorcycle enthusiast, you got to check it out. Now, this is MotoAmerica's quick start procedure. Jason, take us through the quick start procedure, what we're going to see.
They're just going to have one person from their crew out on the grid, so they're all going to come get back into a grid spot. And then you can see, Greg, how much it's been raining again. It's weird. It looked like it was going to stop, and then it comes back in again. But there's going to be one person from your crew out there on the grid waiting for you. Everybody's going to come to a stop. Make sure they're in the right grid spot so that when they send them out for their warm-up lap, they'll be able to come around and know the exact spot that they're in.
So riders out on their sighting lap for the quick start procedure. While we have the chance, here is what the new grid looks like. So this is after the 5 laps that they did on the quick start. So Sean Dillon Kelly, Richie Escalante, and Alex Thermiotis, definitely his best starting position.
Yeah, Da Silva, Mesa, Lockoff. Those guys are a little familiar with that. And Laroche, Grant, Doyle, Petnude, there's Nick, Zaragoza, and Nisani. A little further back, Bruno Silva. Good to see him back. Faulkner, Miller, Schweiger, Soltis, and Chuck Ivey. Some of these guys moved up also from further back. Silva, Minster, Nord, and Blackall will be there just at the back of the grid.
6 laps in this race. Restart. So they've done their sighting lap, and now they just pause a moment to make sure that they know what grid position they're in and everything is okay. As you can see, Sean Dillon Kelly does the right thing. Jason, if you have a leather sponsor and you have a set that's been tattered a little bit, what a perfect time to break him out in these conditions.
Yeah, that's true, actually. And, he's just going to be focused. He did what he needed to do there. On a day like today, it's so key if you're on that front row to get a good start, Greg, because you just don't want to get into that mess. And like you said earlier, visually, it's so much better to be in those first couple rows. When you get back row 3, 4, 5, 6, and it starts to really come down, there's so much spray going into turn 1. So you really got to keep things solid around you and keep your mind working at all times in these conditions.
So Richie Escalante and his Honos HVMC racing team got that motorcycle ready to roll. We'll see if the little tip-off for Escalante, if his confidence takes a hit or not.
So we had 29 people originally gridded up. We've got 22 now. And
yeah, that's what rain does.
Yeah, it
definitely can be a yard sale.
I texted a few riders after our Stock 1000 race, and it was a mixed bag. I said, how was grip? Grip was good, except for a couple of spots here or a couple of spots there that they felt like, and we've already seen some of the action into the last couple turns. Turn 3, turn 11. They said grip's actually pretty good. So what ends up happening is when you feel like grip is good, you start pushing harder, and that's when it happens really quickly, just so fast. And you heard Escalante say he just came up around this section, and he went up over this curb maybe a little bit quicker than he wanted to, and when he tipped it into the right, it just snapped around on him.
Warm-up lap for start number 2, or part 2, in this Supersport race number 1 here at Barber Motorsports Park, our season ender for 2021. We started off at Road America. We were at Road Atlanta, then VIR to Road America. We were at the Ridge. WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, to Brainerd International Raceway, Pittsburgh International Race Complex, and then last week at NJMP. And we wrap things up here at Barber Motorsports Park. And Monday night will be the MotoAmerica banquet, where these newly crowned champions will get to come on stage and get their annual trophy and another #1 plate for their mantles at home. But before all that happens, we got to get through a whole host of racing. Jason, you mentioned that Stock 1000 already raced here. It was the race before this one, our first of the weekend, on an event that's completely packed. And by the way, we're still here tomorrow, so come on out, brave the weather, and check out the last race of 2021. So Sean Dillon Kelly takes pole position to Richie Escalante and Alex Thermiotis. Front row start for Thermiotis. His heart definitely needs to be pounding right now, you would think, right? It's got to be pounding.
Well, you can see how important it is to him and to the guys that he has around him to get him to this point. And he's just got to try to get these 6 laps. Don't change anything that you did from the time before. Get a good start. One thing is right now is Escalante might be a tiny bit vulnerable because he's still going to be getting used to making sure that his bike is okay. So, you know, if he can get just ahead of Richie maybe to start even and try to go with SDK those first few laps, get away from everybody. But, you know, Richie Escalante is going to be doing everything he can. That team does such a good job putting that bike back together as well.
Rain still falling. Part 2 of race #1 after the red flag. When these lights are out, we're going. Thermiotis looks like he got a good launch from the front row. We'll see if he's able to hold on to 3rd place, the 78. Sean Dillon Kelly with a lot of confidence in his M4 XR Suzuki, using all the track off the start.
Yeah, you can see Mesa.
Yeah, Mesa's going around the outside of Thermiotis.
Remember Mesa saying, we're just all out there riding around.
Yeah, lack of grip, all that kind of stuff.
No
yeah,
grip.
There goes the 37. So Stefano Mesa, currently residing in Asheville, North Carolina, in 3rd spot. Thermiotis
goes right back by him. And you see Ben Smith is now trying to jump into 4th, and he does that. So they go by Mesa going down into Charlotte's Web. So you have Mesa and Da Silva kind of side by side. Smith has joined the party, but Thermiotis quickly takes back his 3rd spot and will try to chase back after these two and separate himself.
In the museum corner they go.
Oh, it's not Ben Smith, actually. It's CJ Laroche, I believe.
Oh, yeah, CJ Laroche up in the mix.
CJ Laroche.
So good for the number 20 of Laroche on the Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing. Same bodywork as the 88. Same team. Doing a good job as Thermiotis holding on to 3rd. All eyes on these two. Oh, and a rider down.
Is that, let's see here.
Is that Laroche? Yeah, it is. It's CJ Laroche. You can see on the bottom of the fairing. So Laroche, who had a good run, crashes himself out of 6th place.
What a bummer. He was right there with these guys, and you could see Mesa is now right behind Thermiotis. So
look at Escalante.
So I'll tell you what's happened here. Sean Dillon Kelly's crew has probably told him that Escalante tried a few laps to go up underneath him in that long right. So STK now altered his line going up there and ran it kind of tight all the way through. At least that's what I would think maybe happened. And you know, when you come in after those red flags, you get information from your crew of what they saw, and STK makes that adjustment nicely. So Escalante's bike looks solid. Mesa now takes over 3rd from Thermiotis. So Thermiotis has got it all to do again here in order to try to go past. Mesa would love to get on the podium. A winner from earlier in the season, if you remember, Greg, at MotoAmerica, is Stefano Mesa.
About 4.5 laps to go in this race. In part number 2, Sean Dillon Kelly, M4 XR Suzuki, leading the way from Richie Escalante on the Honos, Hudson Valley Motorcycle Racing Kawasaki. And then right behind him, you have Stefano Mesa on the Mesa 37 Racing Kawasaki. And then Alex Thermiotis on the 78. Seeing him up front is great to see in these conditions, as these 4 have started to pull away. But Thermiotis slowly losing touch with Mesa, as Mesa's looking like a threat. And you know, Jason, let's keep in mind, Mesa's ridden a variety of tires in his career. Does a lot of club racing races here at MotoAmerica. And so for Mesa, it could be the idea when he did his interview that it was a lack of grip. Could possibly be him getting used to, look at the number 1 moving around. We're starting to see some standing water now on the racetrack. This is where things start to get a little treacherous.
Yeah, when you start seeing bikes moving around that way, they're starting to hydroplane a little bit, especially under acceleration. And what happens, Greg, is you're putting all that weight to the back of the bike, and the front of the bike gets light, and it goes through those puddles and kind of hydroplates over the top. And Yeah, that's exactly, and it just getting, you can see the track getting more and more saturated. How about Mesa? He's gone with these guys, and he's just having a look everywhere now and seeing where he can continue to get better himself. Come down that front straightaway. Mesa looked like he was going to have a go at Escalante as they went down into turn 1. Looking at the lap times, Greg, remember earlier in this race, they were doing minute 45s, maybe even got down into the 44s. Now they're doing 48s, so that just goes to show you how wet the track has got. So with this recent downpour, the track has got a little bit wetter.
And of course, for Sean Dillon Kelly, the new national champion, I'm sure his team, American Racing, is looking on at the job that he's doing here in these conditions and smiling about his future in Moto 2 for 2022 and beyond.
Thermiotis is still trying to stay in there. Those 3 guys are just a tick quicker right now. He was at about a second off what their leaders were in 4th place there. And it looks like when I'm looking out the window every now and then here, the 78 is better in a couple spots and then gives up a little in a few spots. So those first 3 guys have just started to stretch away by 1.3 seconds, Greg, is the difference between 3rd and 4th place right now.
Yeah, coming off that mid-track straightaway, you can see Thermiotis just kind of couldn't get it down to the apex. But he's doing a great job. And Jason, in these conditions, anything can happen to those front 3, and Thermiotis has put himself in a great position to collect anything if disaster happens. But Sean Dillon Kelly, boy, you can really see the trails now in deepness of the water in that particular section of the track. But that Suzuki looks so planted right now. I think that he and his crew have just really hit the setup.
Yeah, it has all year. I mean, they've done such a good job. And who we have here, G-Dub, let's have a look. Can't see a number.
Can't see a number on that bike, but a rider down, up, and okay. Sean Dillon Kelly across start finish line. And one of the things I love so much about these conditions is when you have those shields, face shields, you can see the rider's eyes, Jason. You could clearly see Sean Dillon Kelly have a look over at his pit board. The way that the crew is able to communicate to the rider each time they go by start finish line, there's a board that hangs out with information germane to the riders.
And you know, it's great when you get still photos of that, Greg, because the focus right now has to be up ahead. Look at Escalante. He's having a look down the inside, but you can see how bike just squirming underneath him there. He's not going to be able to quite get there. And sometimes, Greg, when it gets really, really wet, that's when the tires obviously work the best. If it's, you know, you don't like being out there for those first rains. Look at the drive Escalante gets off of the Charlotte Webb's corner. Now he's headed down. He's going to be on the left side of the track. And is SDK? Nope, SDK.
No, Escalante going for the lead.
Yes.
And how about this part of the racetrack too, Jay?
Yep, and he does it in the same spot. He gets through it there this time.
Yeah, he crashed there earlier.
The track is just getting so much wetter than we've seen it. SDK has a look over his shoulder and sees Mesa right behind him.
And how much does SDK really need to risk at this point?
Yeah.
Now, Jay, one of the things to keep in mind is riders could not change tires. And one of the things about any rain tires, you see Escalante searching for grip in the rear, is when these tires are brand new, they have a very sharp edge on the blocks. And as they wear out a little bit, you don't have the ability to cut through the rain as sharply. And so that's part of the reason you're seeing some of the movement on the tires from the front and rear of the motorcycle, especially when Escalante is searching for grip under acceleration. The 38 is down. That's
having a look here.
Yeah, so
Jonathan Schweiger, I think.
Yeah, Schweigert's down. Jonathan Schweiger, and he crashes himself out of 14th place.
Points, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the points by 2. So it's Escalante over Sean Dillon Kelly. Mesa still hanging tight. Thermiotis has come across the line. He's drifted back about 3 seconds behind these 3. You can see him right there in the background having a great run at it, Thermiotis. 2 laps to go in this one.
Yeah, we're just looking back a little bit and looking at these first 3, we know who these guys are, and we know Thermiotis. You can see him just coming out of that mist. Nick Pedno has moved himself up to 5th. It's a good story, Greg. Guys come from dead last, and he's in 5th spot now. So he's in a big battle with, there's about 5 or 6 riders back there battling for that top 5.
I like Nick. Bold number choice, by the way, to pick the 46.
Got the Rossi number going.
He is.
And feeling it in the rain here at Barber.
So Patino doing a great job. Nick in 5th place over Dominic Doyle. Sam Lockoff, race winner from last race weekend, in 7th over Liam Grant, De Silva, and Bruno Silva rounding out your top 10 as Escalante continues to lead. And this is really the mark that he wants to make. Just wants to win these last 2 races as he loses his #1 plate next year to a rider who's taken off to the World Championship.
So we got 1.5 laps left to go, a little under that, Greg, and you got to think that SDK is going to take a shot. Just trying to figure out where that's going to be. You think it'll be down in Charlotte's Web?
I mean, I don't know, because, Jay, I think a lot of people look at this and go, how do you have confidence in the front end of the motorcycle to attack under the brakes on braking right now? I mean, it's just, you've got to be holding your breath if you're going to squeeze that lever later.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it is pouring again. I mean, it is literally coming down sideways out there for these guys. They come through that last corner. That white flag is going to be there. And normally, you know, when you have a lot of grip underneath you, you see the white flag, you can control situations. And right now, the track conditions are changing each lap. And as
there's the pass for the lead.
Goes up underneath him into turn 1.
Cannot hold on to it. Is he going to run out of racetrack? No. But SDK was in there awfully deep. Escalante saw it coming. He was able to hold his line and get right back to the front.
Does Escalante protect now when they come up over the top of turn 4 here? He should move himself over to the left and protect that inside line. Now he knows SDK wants to take a chance at him. He opens that line up a little bit, and SDK is not going to need a second invitation.
It's tricky. It's downhill. A lot of braking. He gets it done. Can Escalante scooch back up the inside? He can't get it done. Will he attack again into the museum corner? Oh, SDK got a great drive. Sean Dillon Kelly with a great drive. Escalante trying to get the bike slowed down. Sean Dillon Kelly showing us something right here, JP.
Yep, he's just relentless this year. He doesn't want to let anybody else win races. He sat behind him for 3 or 4 laps. Now he's pulled the pin and he's trying to get away from Escalante to thwart off any advances that Escalante might do towards the end of this lap, and he's pulling away. You can see the pace has dropped on this lap as they've left Mesa a little bit further behind.
Bikes moving around through the puddles, the standing water, the enemy of these Dunlop rain tires. But Sean Dillon Kelly trying to hold on. Escalante's got a bit of a charge right now. He's closed it down. Is Escalante going to risk it all? SDK doing a good job of protecting the inside line. Nowhere for Escalante to go.
Let's see if Escalante tries to run down the inside of him here. Not close enough. SDK is going to carry nice speed into there, and he's going to not. I don't think he's going to be beat to the line.
Here's the drag race to the start-finish line. Sean Dillon Kelly will hold on and take the win and the fastest lap of the race in this race part 2, as he's trying to get the motorcycle stopped after that run to the checkered flag. So the flag flies. Sean Dillon Kelly with the win.
Here's that battle for 4th, it looks like. Now, Greg, is the 93 of De Silva has got himself ahead of Lockoff, who in turn is going to beat Dominic Doyle. And it looks like Liam Grant also is in there. Liam Grant with a tremendous ride to 6th spot.
So De Silva holds on to 4th as Thermiotis drifted way back. Oh boy, we're going to take a break and step away from this. We'll have an interview with SDK, results and more on the other side.
No lack of excitement there for that super sport class, and Sean Dillon Kelly does it once again. And I could see when Richie was in front of him, you could almost see it through that visor. He wanted a piece of Richie. He did not want him to get the satisfaction of winning in the rain.
No, not at all. I mean, just looks like any condition, these two guys are just pretty evenly matched. And Sean made some really good passes. Going into 5 where he made that pass for the win is it's really difficult to get it stopped, and especially in the rain, because you're pretty far on the inside and you don't want to be too aggressive on corner entry.
He's Roger Hayden. I'm Robbie Floyd. We have a little bit of a break here before we send it back to our crew next door. But I was sitting there tapping you, go, hey, Stefano Mesa might win this thing. It looked like one of those races where they might have both pushed each other beyond those limits.
Yeah, kind of like we've seen at MotoAmerica. You could tell the last lap, those guys went a little bit quicker, and Stefano Mesa lost a little bit of touch. But with 2 to 3 to go, it looked like he was trying to make a pass on Sean.
Gabriel De Silva should be his best finish in 4th. We saw Nick Patinod up, he finished in 8th, but we saw him all the way up there inside that top 5. There was your story of the race, right? From last up into a top 5.
29th, and at one time he was running 4th. So what a ride by him. Not only that, with the shortened race too. Didn't have as many laps as normal to get it done, but the red flag helped him out a little bit. But that's awesome to see him have such a good race.
Sean Dillon Kelly pumped as he makes his way around the track, and the sport for the fans that came out to watch him win his 12th race of the year, his 16th podium, and been clicking off those points, trying to beat that record of J.D. Beach as the Man with the most points ever in a season of Supersport here in MotoAmerica. Stefano Mesa, you know, I think it kind of invigorated him, though, only having 6 laps left, and we saw him on that starting line. Some question going to back-to-back races if he could do it, but I think it actually kind of pumped him up. He got to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, and also knowing the race is a little bit shorter, you know, gives you the opportunity to go for it, and he was going for it. He was aggressive early and latched on to these 2 guys.
STK, again, M4X Star Suzuki team has won 4 in a row. 3 for STK, 1 for Sam Lockoff. But either way, these guys know how to win, and they do it once again. Let's go back to the guys.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official...
Hundredths of a second over Escalante, who was riding around. 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's get right down to winner's circle with our winner.
Well, it was an intense battle to the last lap with Sean Dylan Kelly and Richie Escalante. Sean Dylan Kelly prevailed. Take me through that. Tell us about that battle and how you were able to pull off this win.
Yeah, man, what a race. Richie and I have been battling for since last season now and all season this year, and it goes to show we battle in the dry, we battle in the wet. I mean, I think what a show for everyone. This was an awesome race. Really enjoyed it. This is honestly one of the best ways to finish off well, not finish the season yet, but start the last 2 races of this weekend. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. Definitely difficult, you know, to go out in the rain, be very focused, and it's so easy to make mistakes. But it was a great race. Huge thank you to my whole M4XR Suzuki team. Today was my official announcement that I'll be going over to Moto 2 for the next 2 seasons. So this is a great way to, thank you. This is a great way to, you know, show that and show that this is what we're here for. You know, rain or shine. I got my title last week and we're still winning. So this is amazing. Huge thank you to my whole M4 Suzuki team. This wouldn't have been possible without John and Chris Ulrich. Huge thank you to them for making this happen for me. They absolutely made my career, and I'm very thankful. So thank you to my family, thank you to all my friends, thank you to all the fans, thank you to Fresh and Lean for keeping me strong, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Congratulations to Sean Dylan Kelly. Let's get over to Jamie with our 2nd place finisher.
Richie Escalante and his team were able to take advantage of the red flag, get the bike fixed after you went over. It's expecting rain again tomorrow, though. What did you learn out there in that battle with Sean that will help you for race 2?
Yeah, for sure. In the rain, normal race with Sean again, very great battle. I don't expect, to be honest, to stay on the podium, and then after crash in the first race, I'm very happy to finish second. So I'm happy. So thanks to Onos Racing, Hudson Valley, Grace Motorsport for all the support. And yeah, for sure I need to work in tomorrow morning and be for race.
Richie Escalante for 2nd place finisher, Greg.
A great result for Escalante, especially after going down. And let's take a look at our championship standings right now. Sean Dylan Kelly, who has the single season points total record holder, and he still can score another 25. Well, that's it. We got to get out of here. For Hannah Lopa, Jamie Howe, and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for joining us for race number 1. We're going to do it again tomorrow. We hope you join us. See you then.